Saints head coach Kellen Moore talks forming his coaching staff and much more. This is New Orleans Football's video. They usually have the best video / audio for these interviews, so we are using their stuff. Always go support the boys. Okay, Kellen Moore, when he talks, I listen. And when I talk, the world listens, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and react along the way, shall we?
I was able to kind of connect with him. You can quickly tell this is a high-level coach, really great communicator.
I assume this is about Brandon's
daily juice that he brings. He's been doing this at a high level in college for a long time, and he
maybe not
slid into the combine process. And he slid in and just started.
Bo Davis, maybe.
Really impressive.
I guess conversations with Derek Carr were occurring with him before his agent saw the trade or kind of exploring his options.
We just talked about our obviously confidence in this situation and the ability for him to have success here. And I think we got a great group here, from the players, the coaching staff, to the environment that we're going to be able to create for him. Felt really good and comfortable with what we're going to be able to provide.
You mentioned earlier about going through the process at like your opening press room. How soon into the process did you know Derek was your guy, or did you know right away?
Yeah, I certainly take this job with the intentions of some of the top players being here, and we felt very comfortable with them. Obviously, anytime you go through these things, it's great to connect first to people and build those relationships and go from there. And so, I'm really excited about it.
All right, so a couple questions there about Derek Carr. Again, guys, we're never going to hear Kellen Moore say, yeah, I don't know. We were talking about cutting him. We were talking about trading him. I mean, whatever. He's the quarterback, so, we'll just rock and roll. Like, there's always going to be some lip service here. I think Kellen probably was looking at this job with Derek being the starting quarterback. Obviously, there's some financial stuff that came with that. There's some salary cap stuff that came with that. I'm sure all parties explored all options. We covered where there was rumors that Derek was exploring trades and whatnot, which I'm sure he was. So no harm, no foul across the board. It is what it is. Derek Carr's the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints heading into this season, and I hope he succeeds. I had this question in a comment where they were like, well, how on one hand are you saying that you wish the Saints would have went in a different direction, but on the other hand, you hope Derek Carr has a career year? At the end of the day, like, I have no personal thoughts. Like, as a person, I could care less about like all the players. I am rooting for the Saints. I am rooting for the team. Once a player is on the team, if he is on the field, I hope that player has a career year. I hope they're the best player ever. Like last year, we took a stance with Kendre Miller. And we were saying, Kendre Miller probably isn't the player that everyone thinks he is at this point. And I'm not ready to say that he's the future running back. But when he's on the field, I hope he has 8 yards to carry, and I hope he's the MVP of the league. I will happily eat crow when it comes to any of these players. Jake Haener last year, I said I thought Jake Haener was ass. He was starting, and before the game, I said I hope he is the next Brett Favre. But it doesn't. Same with Derek Carr. Derek Carr is the starter, so I hope he has a career year. And if he has a career year and the Saints win a playoff game and we extend him, whatever. And if we, all that, those are all bridges that we'll cross when we get there. And I think that is what is different about this channel is, yeah, I'm a Saints fan, but I also see things through, and I'm looking at the NFL and I'm looking at all of this through a lens of, like, yeah, there's a fan cap, but it's also like a logical, unbiased kind of cap that goes with this too. And that blend, I think, allows for very unique commentary on the channel. So, am I thrilled that Derek Carr is a starting quarterback? No. Am I upset? No. It just kind of is what it is. Like, someone asked me why I'm not covering Chauncey Gardner-Johnson going to the Texans. Why do I care about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson? He hasn't been on the Saints since 2022. It just is what it is. Like, people are saying Paulson Adebo betrayed the Saints. Paulson Adebo is a 25-year-old guy who just got $50 million. He didn't betray nothing, and the Saints didn't let him get away. He signed a $50 million contract to go play in New York. It is what it is. So I remove a lot of that emotional kind of commentary, I guess. Like everyone's talking about Gocho, like, oh, he played at LSU. This is a homecoming. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is he has a 20% run stop win rate. That's 61st out of 67 defensive tackles. I don't care if we're playing in his backyard. What if we're in his living room and he has a 20% win rate? Who cares? So that's how we roll here.
How today's trade kind of fit into what you guys want to do defensively?
I think just in general, as we're building this roster, I think, again, building it up front, with size and the ability to stop the run, and obviously you need the pass rush in obvious passing situations, and we'll just continue to find different ways that we can utilize that, and that'll be a focus of ours.
Tom, is there like a chemistry process that you got to go through with just like Mickey and Jeff and the pro scouts, just like in communicating and learning how to communicate with them?
Like any walk of life, communication is critical, and so there's a lot of conversations, and we just kind of get used to the rhythm and the timing of everything. And so I feel fortunate to get a chance to team up with these guys. This group with Mickey and Jeff and Kai, Michael. These guys have been doing it for a while, and so there's great experience there.
Yeah, I mean, this is the part where communication is obviously huge, because everything is so fast in free agency and discussions and all that, and you got to have some kind of communication between the position coaches, the coordinators, the head coach, the front office, of identifying players you want, identifying players that fit the scheme, fit the system, personality, whatever. Then, okay, is it feasible contract-wise? Is it something we can do just from a front office standpoint? It is a very tricky, fast and furious thing. So I'm sure that communication is paramount. That communication being good, these guys have only known each other, I know Kellen and Brandon know each other, but the whole group have only known each other for whatever it is, 3 weeks, a month. So, that is something that is not really thought about, but it's a huge, huge deal.
Where do you plan to be over the next couple of days and weeks in free agency for the rest of it?
You're certainly ready to adjust and go at any point. And so certainly there's a lot of guys on our current team that are guys that we'd like to talk through from a contract perspective, and then guys around the league. And so we evaluate a lot of these guys, had a lot of conversations, and now it's just applying that as these conversations continue.
By the way, who knows if all of this will still be the same by the time this video goes out, because everything's so fast. But my boy Jeff Nowak was tweeting that Saints have somewhere around, paraphrasing, but it's around $20 million to play with right now in cap room, which I believe is what the kids call salary cap hell. But he expects that money is, at this stage, was created in order to make a significant signing. So, we had heard previously that the Saints wanted to be really active in free agency. We're seeing them clear some cap, move some stuff around, whether it's, a handful of players taking restructures or the Chase Young signing or whatever. So it'll be interesting to see if we see one of those significant free agent signings come on down soon here.
What was it about Joel that stood out to you about him getting that promotion to associate head coach?
Yeah, Joel's an excellent running back coach, and he's an excellent leader. I think there's a lot of leadership that's going to come with Joel coming back here that we're really, really excited about, and the things that he can, not just the running back room, but for the entire team, he's going to be a big key role in this thing.
A lot of work to try and build synergy maybe off the field. Because you got so many people trying to get to know each other for the first time, right? They went to Pelicans game the other day.
Yeah, certainly. That's a big part of this, obviously.
Worst possible place to build camaraderie is a damn Pels game.
You're really excited when you get to team up as a group, certainly on the coaching staff, guys who have kind of come from a lot of different spaces around the NFL and college football as well. And so now it's about us just connecting and building that togetherness. And so any chance we get, together, whether it be a workout, whether it be dinner, Pelicans game certainly last week, we'll just keep trying to grab opportunities just as we find situations to do that. And honestly, that'll coincide when the players show up as well. So,
Can I ask you about Chase Olave, just your connection with him? What attracted you to him?
Worked with Chase in Dallas, phenomenal coach, phenomenal person, love his energy. He's a really special coach, and so we were fired up to have a chance to get him, put him in the position of the tight end room. I think he's been growing each and every time in the NFL, and so we feel really excited.
Similar question for Joel. Have you worked with him before? Obviously, we're familiar with him here. What drew you to him?
I had never worked with Joel before, but heard so many great things, certainly with his time here. Some of the other connections when he was in college football, relationships are a huge part of this thing, and so as you go through the process, you hear names, more and more. And so Joel's name was one that was very prominent around this whole league. We were fortunate to have an opportunity to bring him back, and the associate head coach role will give him kind of a role where a leadership part of this thing will be really, really important, where he can kind of do some leadership stuff across our entire team.
So it wasn't just a Idaho Vandal quota that you
Trust me, it's a hard thing for me to have 3 Vandals on the staff, so I'm a Boise State guy.
Coach, you talk to the players wherever you've been, and they say that you instill confidence and you take input a lot from the individual players. Where did you do that?
The players ultimately, Well, I'm saying the players are ultimately the guys that make the plays, and so I think this thing is
I think Kellen going from being a player, and I was trying to let the positional coach questions kind of go by. Guys, I mean, the positional coaching questions is out of control. But I think because Kellen was a player so close to when he was a coach, like from being a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys to being the offensive coordinator the next year, I think that makes him even more likely to factor in players' like input, because he's at that point, you are so close to that locker room. You are so close to that room. The majority of people you're probably talking to are players. So I'm not surprised that now he's a head coach who really values the input from his players, which is good for the Saints situation because there's so many leaders on this team who are veteran players like Alvin Kamara, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, who leaning on them for intel, or not intel, but just like how they feel like things are going. So, having that open line of communication is fantastic. I know a lot of teams have like captains dinners every week where the captains will meet with the coach, kind of talk through things in a off the record kind of environment. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all that Kellen's doing this because one, he's younger, and that younger generation's more transparent, I think, than before, where the coach was kind of untouchable and the players were almost like employees of the coach, versus this new like very, very team, everyone, us, So not surprised at all that Kellen's taking this approach.
Collaborative effort. It's a lot of fun. We do it together. Sometimes the point of view of the player is very, very valuable, and it helps us educate ourselves whether we need to teach better, make an adjustment, whatever it may be. And so I think, that's the value of this. Teaming up with people, doing it the right way, building it together. Certainly in college football, when I was there with Chris Peterson at Boise State, that was a huge example to me, just the leader that he was.
The coaching staff has a lot of people with ties to both the waters and to the entire state of Louisiana. How intentional were you in that regard?
Certainly there's some intention and some value in having guys who've been down here, been in Louisiana, and have exposure to this place, and just the special community that it is. Certainly you could recognize that very quickly. And so, certainly when we had the opportunity to team up with a few guys who've been down here, we were fired up to do it.
And one of the guys, of course, being
Doug Nussmeier with you guy you worked with for the last several years. How beneficial is that relationship?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to team up with Doug now since Dallas, Los Angeles, and Philadelphia. And so, we spent a lot of time together. We speak the same language. We talk the same way. We complement each other. We have different strengths. And so, I think it's a very valuable opportunity for me, especially transitioning to the head coach role. Being able to lean on him with some of the offensive stuff would be hugely valuable.
It's something with Kellen Moore in this did him no favors with this pause. But it's something like with Nussmeier and with Staley, you feel like Kellen, it was like this perfect thing where he was allowed to not only get coordinators who he had a personal connection with, who he has a communication level with and are basically friends with, but they're also good coordinators. They're also successful coordinators in their own right. So it's like, that's why the more I look at this and the more I listen and the more I watch these videos, the more I just sit back and I'm like, man, I cannot believe this all fell into place. I cannot believe this all worked out to where the staff just like boom, 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 boom. Kellen's the head coach, like everything that led to that. And then Brandon Staley just so happens to be available for the DC. Boom, he interviews. Next thing you know, he's there. Like everything that's fallen into place right now just seems like the perfect foundation for this staff to succeed. What will that translate to on the field? Who the hell knows? But it's just surreal that this is all played out. And the fact that, the head coaching thing happened. Like when he was named head coach, we covered that. All that stuff was cool. But to see the staff come together, to see them now, going through free agency, we're getting into draft prep, all of that, like we're going to get closer to the season. At some point, Kellen Moore is going to be doing pregame and postgame interviews. Like, it's surreal that this is happening. You know, like the fact that last year this was Dennis Allen. Like, think about that difference. To go from Dennis Allen in this position to Kellen Moore could not be any more, no pun intended, different. The youngest coach in the NFL, the youngest coaching staff in NFL history, offensive versus defensive, like the whole thing is just such a whiplash from what we were doing not that long ago. 12 months ago. 12 months ago. We're sitting here looking at Dennis Allen.
A guy with head coaching experience as your defensive coordinator too, just kind of what went into that decision.
Yeah, certainly a very valuable component. Brandon's been in these shoes. He's been a head coach in this league. He's coordinated some of the top defense in this league as well, and so his experience, his exposure, I think his ability to play multiple styles will benefit us. Our ability to adjust, week in and week out.
We have time for two more. Somebody said the Nussmeyers have two of the biggest spots in Louisiana football, the quarterback down the road and your offensive coordinator. What have you observed their relationship as father and son, I guess, over the years and his impact on Garrett?
Yeah, certainly the Nussmeyer family is really special to us. Being around Doug for such a long time and watching Garrett go through his high school journey. Colton's going through his now back in Texas right now, and so they're special people. They do it the right way. Certainly, we've been huge Garrett Nussmeyer fans from afar, watching their games for a long time now, especially this past year. And so, for Doug and Garrett to be close by, I think there's no better setting.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like I was saying 5 minutes ago, it's like Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier aren't just acquaintances. Like these are guys who have spent a long time together. Families know each other. They've watched their this just seems like, and again, maybe I'm drinking the hopium and smoking the copium, ladies and gentlemen, but it just seems like such a better environment surrounding this team. And I don't get it. When I hear this kind of stuff, and I'm like, whoa. I'm all in. I'm buying all the Saints stock I can get. I couldn't be happier for this team. I couldn't be happier to be a fan of this team. I couldn't be happier to be covering this team. I think the future is bright. I'm feeling good, living good, looking good. And then next thing I know, I go on the Saints subreddit and people are like, the Saints team is cooked. I'm selling my season tickets. What's going on here? Like, what am I missing? This is a time. I mean, this is a beautiful thing. Now, they could flame out and be a horrific coaching situation, and this team could be the worst team in the NFL for the next couple of decades. Maybe that's what's happening. I don't know, but it just seems like we're in good hands in the franchise. It seems like this coaching staff is just a great group of guys who believe in each other, understand each other, have a great vision and identity of this team, and they're building a good culture, and they understand the game, and they're football dudes doing football things. We got a top 10 pick in the draft. Damn.
Another LSU guy on your staff with Bo Davis. I mean, what was it about him that really drew you to want to have him on the staff? And, how exciting do you think it is to have him here now?
Yeah, big-time coach. Bo's obviously a big-time coach. He's done in the NFL, done in the SEC for a long time. It felt like it was just a really, really good opportunity for us to team up with an excellent defensive line coach. And so, obviously, his exposure to this area obviously is beneficial. A lot of these guys that were going through the draft process, he's been recruiting those guys or, dealing with the transfer portal. He knows all these kids. And so, it's going to be a huge benefit for us.
During Radio Row, when I was for the Super Bowl, I was talking to some people, and they were saying that the thing with Kellen Moore that was concerning them, or the idea of Kellen Moore at that time, was who's going to be the ball buster? Who's going to be the guy who usually is like your strength coach or usually something like that that can kind of come in and chew some ass, you know what I mean? Who can come in and just lay it on a player and set the example and set the tone and be the enforcer on the coaching staff and can kind of be, the guy who is a head coach can't always do that and a coordinator can't always do that. But there's always someone on the staff that can do that. Bo Davis might be that someone. Bo Davis might be the guy who comes in and he kind of lays down the law, lays the hammer down, the authority voice in the room. That's not the head coach. So I wouldn't be surprised about that because he's an incredibly respected coach. Defensive line coach kind of fits that mold. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm just guessing here, but wouldn't be surprised at all if he fills that role.
Kellen, when you talk about a mentor like Coach Lane had, talk a little bit about that and what his role and about him and your development, him being a mentor?
Yeah. Scott's gonna be a great addition to our staff. A guy who obviously I've been tied to closely for a long time, just as far as playing in Detroit under him, going to Dallas, and then obviously transitioning and coaching in many ways because of him. And so he's got a lot of experience in this league, a lot of experience in football. We'll be able to lean into that. He'll be able to help us as we build the system, and then obviously help us throughout each and every week with the game plans and some of those different things.
Love it. That's my president. All right, let me know in the comments below. Get on down there what you think, and I will see you in the next video.